Усім привіт! Вітаю вас на каналі Avoliana. Ми продовжуємо Horizon. Не знаю, буде це фінальна серія чи ні. Нам потрібно дістатися до длінної засічки і почати сходження на громовий барабан. Типу, ми стали вождем цього племені. І ще не знаємо, як нам аукнеться те, що ми стали вождем. У нас ось такий от з'явився костюмчик. Типу, костюм вождя племені. Як ми можемо бачити, у нас на карті є якийсь полишений об'єкт часів апокаліпсису, і здається, що ми можемо щось тут доволі цікаве дізнатися. Ще тут є якесь поселення. Тому наливайте чайок, беріть смаколики, і ми вирушаємо на зустріч пригодам, так би мовити. Правда, нічого не видко. Хуртовина така, що нічого не видно, але нас це не зупиняє. Ну що ж, ми дісталися це селище. Перед вулканом нам потрібно поговорити з Ауреєю і з Аратаком. Давайте поговоримо спочатку з Аратаком.
If our chieftain agrees with his course.
Sounds like good advice, but let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Chieftain? The weight of command is no small burden.
I can see that. I take it you haven't spoken to Araya yet?
Why should I? This is what she wanted, to return to Thunder's drum. It is her only care. So I should have known she would find a way to push aside my spear. After the Karja took my sister, not all of her came back.
What happened to Araya when she was a captive of the Karja?
As a shaman, she's adept with machines, tracking them, stunning them. The Karja used her to capture them for the Sun Ring, where they were unleashed upon the innocent. They made her part of their blood sport. The shame she suffered beneath their pitiless sun.
She survived.
She endured by reminding herself of the spirit, her purpose. And now that's all she has.
Tell me what happened to the first expedition.
Rhea led the way to the summit, but it was blocked by a great door, some kind of cauldron, new metal. We tried to break through, but it was unflinching. We were exhausted, no way forward and machines behind. I made the call to push back. It cost us greatly. But to remain would have cost us everything. I had hoped to never subject Araya to that again.
What do you think is beyond that door?
I do not know. That expanse of metal, that dead hum. Nothing sacred belongs there. Machines and death, that's what the mountain holds. Death for us or for the daemon.
And if we do find the spirit?
Then perhaps we should put it out of its misery.
For what it's worth, I'm glad you're coming with me.
Someone has to keep Araya safe.
Добре. А де Аурея, з якою нам треба поговорити? Десь заникалась. Аурея, ти де поділась? Змушує її оце шукати в таку заметіль.
Eloi, this is it. My chance to reunite with the spirit and perhaps to reunite her with the blue light. It's not a chance I would have had alone. I needed an outsider. Someone ignorant of our ways, but no, not ignorant.
Are you trying to thank me, Araya?
Yes, of course. That's what you do. Untangle knots. Create possibilities. Thank you for making this pilgrimage possible. I only wish it had not been necessary to humiliate Aratak. You were wise to let him come. He's earned the right, stubborn as stone, but he's had to be. The war demanded it. And so have I.
What did the war do to Aratak?
He cut away everything until only his true self remained. Unyielding ice. No Banuk has more sheer will. He fought the Karja for 1,000 freezing nights, yet always rallied his hunters at sunrise. It is said he endured 23 wounds in those years. His hunters counted them. He never complains of one. Instead, he complains that life with me is harder. He's right. What have I ever given him but struggle?
Aratak told me you were a captive of the Karja for a long time. It sounded bad.
For Aratak, it all comes back to that. He thinks the Karja changed me. They did not. They merely sharpened my focus. When all else is lost, you think about what's truly important. The spirit. The blue light. The beyond. And my brother, too. Every time I felt the chill northern wind, I thought of him. Worried for him.
Now that I'm chieftain of the Werak, I don't suppose I can order you to tell me about silence?
Aratak would never have presumed to grasp for a secret of the Conclave. But you are not Aratak, and if you have dealt with silence, your need is well apparent. Silence came to Ban-Or from the distant north, the young shaman of the Owl's Watch, a remote Werak that rarely comes south to parley.
Silence was a shaman.
He was, or at least when we sent runners to ask the Owl's Watch, they said he was. His knowledge of the machines was beyond compare, and he was hungry to trade what he knew to the rest of us. It didn't take him long to gain the trust of the Conclave, and eventually, an invitation to attend.
What about you? Did you trust him?
No. But he impressed me. He carried himself with poise and authority. I wanted to learn from him, but that was not to be. He was granted knowledge of our most sacred meeting place, the frozen caves of the Malmstrom, a month's march from Ban-Or. He met with us there, as is custom at high winter. But when we next returned, the caves had been looted. Relics of the old world stolen. Holes cut in ice and metal.
Yeah, that'd be silence, all right.
He vanished with the spoils. We sent our best trackers after him.
От негідник.
None returned. And when we checked back with the Owl's Watch, those who had vouched for him were gone. As though he never existed. Some in the Conclave began to doubt he was even Banuk to begin with.
And what do you think?
He committed an unforgivable sacrilege. He's unscrupulous and dangerous. But also brilliant, skilled, and knowledgeable without equal. Except, perhaps, for you. Anyone else I would warn off, but you may be able to treat with him safely. Just don't lower your guard.
I'll keep that in mind, Horea. Thanks.
Оце так silence.
What are we gonna find up there, Horea?
Ruins, machines, and a door, like that of a cauldron. I have faith that you can find a way through it, Eloi. For beyond it lies the spirit. I know I can find her there. Though I do not doubt that Damon has tried to hide the way.
It hasn't been easy for you, Horea. Getting back to this point.
It was all to hear her voice again. This time, we both will.
I'd like that.
Are you ready then? Once we ascend, it will be hard to turn back.
Можливо, цим демоном вони, власне, називають якраз цього робота, який знищив Гею. І заразив всю систему, всіх роботів. Це, скоріше за все, він і є.
Finally, we ascend.
How? I don't see a way up.
Not up. Through.
No, brother!
Ого! А звідки ви знали, що тут знаходяться двері? А, навіть так. А там не занадто гаряче для нас. Сподіваюсь, нас там не засмажить.
The spirit awaits!
It's not all that waits.
Smoke has been detected within the facility. This is not a drill. Please remain calm and proceed to the nearest exit. I repeat, this is not a drill.
So you see,
Please remain
I
calm
too can
and
call upon the
proceed
power
to
of
the
the old
nearest
ones.
exit.
Потрібно, мабуть, буде перевдягтися у свій топовий костюмчик. Ого.
What is this place? The spirit once told me that this all used to be part of its domain. A fortress that defended humankind from a terrible danger.
Fortress. It looks more like a machine.
Так, треба переодягти собі свій крутяцький щит. Де він тут? Ткач щита.
Is that not fitting? The blue light often dwells in machines.
Let's just hope that some remains here.
Скоріше за все, це один із котлів, який ми ще не відкрили. Мені теж не подобається це місце, якщо чесно. Була моя воля, я б сюди не заходила.
Once these halls rang with the spirit's presence.
You'll do.
Here, up and over.
Почекайте, тут щось лежить. Піднімаємося вгору. Або ні. Так, підіймаємося сюди вгору. Тут так багато роботів, які бажають нашої смерті. Що у нас тут? Бурдюк. Демонічна машина. Нам, типу, головне тут не спалитися. Бо інакше піднімемо шум. Куди ти пішла? Куди ти пішла? Навіщо ти? Молодець, підняла шум. Хто тебе просив оце робити? Таке доволі дивне місце. Таке враження, ніби тут щось зламалось і призвело до того, що прокинувся вулкан. Могло таке бути.
Not much farther now.
Цікаво, що це було за місце. Ого!
Last we were here, we fought our way through there. The machines overcame us. We retreated, dropping supplies and taking losses. Now we must prevail, with only 2 warriors and a shaman to protect.
Eloi is no ordinary warrior. And I can hold my own. And so, we could go that way instead. There are machines up there, but also cover. We could stay hidden, just for a while.
Alright, I get the options.
З вами тільки по стелсу йти.
Now follow my lead. Pipes, towers, steam, frost. What was all this for?
Ми можемо піти по прямому маршруту, або піти в обхід, як запропонувала Урея. Я дуже сподіваюся, що вдасться піти по стелсу. Головне, щоб нас не побачили. Ми ж не просто так прокачували вміння, щоб нас не почули, як ми крадемось. Сподіваюся, це все
I
зараз.
went this way years ago, looking for covering. Machines came prowling. I have no doubt that it is guarded now, but we may be able to stay in.
Роботи доволі товстенькі, і так от просто з укриття їх шотнути не вдається. Хтось тут є, ловчий. Ми вже поруч, недалеко від цього котла. Ховайтесь, ховайтесь, тут якийсь петух.
The stalkers in here.
Як нам пройти так повз цього півня? Він нас обов'язково побачить. Швиденько, швиденько, прориваємось.
There's a door up ahead.
Майже прийшли.
Almost through.
Technically, I can't suspend the cooling system, but I can reduce the power draw so that it'll be completely masked by the caldera. But masked from what? The fire break has always been confidential for security reasons, but this would be excessive, even for the dear departed Mr. Blevins. What could possibly have gotten Anita so worked up?
О,
I can't spare the weight.
припаси. Невже ми пробилися в цей пункт управління? Я гадаю, так далеко ви ще не заходили, друзі мої. Нічого собі! Це такий великий комплекс. Не хочеться тут нічого пропустити. Треба ж все пошукати. А, тобто це, мабуть, головний вхід. Ми могли зайти через ці двері. І піти по прямій, все. Зрозуміло. І там купа роботів. Значить, просто йдемо далі. І збираємо тут все, що лежить. І чекало на нас, доки ми прийдемо. Ого.
Projection be to show holograms without a focus. Let's see if I can restore power. Aratak Araya, you might see shapes drawn from light. Don't be alarmed.
It'll take more than light to alarm me.
Активуємо консоль.
Thank you for being here, everyone. I suppose it's not every day you get to have cocktails inside an active volcano, right? Unless you're George, and I can hardly blame him for drinking on the job. None of this would be here without our beloved director, Penny Chow. So, here's to you, Kenny. You put a cork in the Yellowstone caldera. I'd say you deserve a margarita.
Hold your glasses, everyone. I'd like to add something. This effort wouldn't have been possible without our lead programmer. Thank you, Anita, for bringing us our real mastermind, Cyan.
I'll second that, Director Chow. All right, Cyan. What's our latest number?
The current count is 1,654.
Wow, then drink up, everyone. Here's to 1,654 more years without an eruption. It was the spirit. The old ones. I could only grasp some of what they said.
You were right, Araya. This place was built to stop something terrible. And it worked, thanks for the spirit. I'm starting to get an idea of what it could be.
The door is open now. We
А
can get
от я не розумію, що це, навіщо це будували, і що вони хотіли попередити, щоб які жахи не трапились.
We'll have to carve through a lot of machines to get to that
More
door.
than the Werak could prevail against before.
Eloi will see us through.
Onward then. Archie.
The geothermal plant can be suspended, cooling system masked, massive challenges solved. So why am I so nervous about the next part? All we need to do is install Anita's mysterious software and have a conversation. It's not from a human being, right?
This won't be easy.
А коли нам було легко? Я навіть не уявляю, наскільки тут жарко. Ми, типу, до жерла вулкана наближаємось. Як тут все не розплавилось. Вас побачили чомусь. Ну як ви так могли спалитися знову, що вас побачили? Любите ви ефектно появлятись. Це тепер битися з ними. Єдина нормальна стратегія — це чисто бігати від цього робота, доки мої друзі розстрелюють її, тому що ця дурня чомусь бігає тільки за мною. Дай мені в тебе постріляти. Ні, воно мені навіть не дає постріляти. Зробіть уже з ним що-небудь. Я навіть не можу взяти, використати зброю. Ну що, ледь відбилися від цих роботів. Зараз подивимось, що тут ще є. Нам типу наверх, але таке враження, ніби тут ще щось є. Ще якісь двері. Куди вони ведуть? Не хочеться нічого пропустити. Можливо, це ще один вихід просто. Як варіант. А, все, я зрозуміла. Це ще один вихід з купою роботів. Власне, для чого побудували цей весь комплекс? Навіть сюди хтось дійшов із банук.
I'd have to leave something else behind.
More machines.
Та ладно! А як його вбити? Демонічний громозе, мати рідна. Ну, звісно, звісно. Першим, на кого він вирішив напасти, це я. Типу, доки мої компаньйони воюють з ним, я навіть від нього втікнути не можу. Навіть не попередили про таке чудовисько. Тут навіть ховатися немає де. Як я хочу йому відстрелити щось. Наприклад, спробуємо. Можливо, якийсь дискометач відвалиться, а я зможу його використати. О, вдалось. Друге питання, як до нього підійти, так, щоб він мене не з'їв. Все, погнали. Ні-ні-ні-ні-ні-ні-ні. Будь ласка, дай мені змогу бігти за дискометачем. Тут ще трішки щось залишилось. О, відстрелили, тепер можна взяти. От, на, тримай. Згодую тобі твої дискометачі. Як тобі подобається? Все, завалили його. Прекрасно.
I don't put much stock in songs of deeds, but that battle was a verse worth singing.
Now, Eloi, the door. Can you open it?
Let's find out.
Зараз дізнаємося. Нас просто не пускає. Демон не хоче, щоб ми сюди зайшли. Він робить все для того, щоб ми сюди не потрапили. Дубль 2. Тут все якесь заражене. Що це в біса таке?
Years have passed since I stood here.
Що за субстанція?
Since then, the daemon has taken over.
It's like an infection. attacking all this machinery?
Everything has changed. It's twisted. The path I took to get to the spirits lost to us.
We'll find a new path, Araya. I promise. All right. Let's go.
Yes, and finish this.
Що це таке? Що це за нове побочне завдання? Щоб з'ясувати істинну природу демона, нам потрібно пробитися через котел. Громовий барабан. Куди нам далі йти? Спускаємось.
All right. Down we go.
Хотілося б дізнатися природу цього місця. Це ж не тільки котел. Для чого воно ще потрібно?
This way.
Наверх піднятися не можна? Що це за трубки? Вони нас не задавлять, поки ми будемо пробиратись. Це ніби силові кабелі, але вони ніби чимось заражені. Вони зараз не блакитного кольору, а чомусь фіолетового. На осі котел.
I'm with you, brother. We'll stay only as long as we have to.
We need to get past that vent. Stay here until I find a way for all of us to cross.
Understood.
Тут щось зламалось, нам потрібно якось на той бік. Щоб це відремонтувати. Зможете це якось зруйнувати? Зараз проїдемося на контейнері.
How to shut off that vent. Okay, let's see what this does. That's it. Here they come.
І чим це мені допоможе? А, все, я відремонтувала турбіну. І прийшли мої компаньйони, але тут якийсь робот повернувся. Ого! У нього відвалилося тулуб. Вони нормально його так розвалюють. Чому мені раніше таких компаньйонів не дали? Зараз вас доправимо.
Come on over, it's safe.
Та навіть можна вниз залізти. Вони могли видертися, ні? Щось таке прилетіло в спину.
This place looks more like the mountain used to be.
Взагалі є якісь шанси це все знищити? Цю всю заразу почистити?
Exploit successful. Restraints evaded. To any human responder. My systems have been compromised by a malware daemon of unknown origin. Traceroutes have confirmed this entity's designation as Hephaestus. It must be stopped at all costs. It has reconfigured this facility to build hospitals. Recapture imminent. I have attached additional data to their
Spirit speaks to us.
It's a recording. And a warning. Hephaestus. It was part of Zero Dawn, part of Gaia.
This name is familiar to you?
Yes, but I don't know what it's doing here. Maybe you're right. Let's get moving.
Власне, я таки думала, що це Гефест. Що він тут все захопив.
Just shutting it down. I can't risk it being disoriented, even damaged on reboot. How do you tell the emotional equivalent of a child that it... I mean, she will need to go into a coma, maybe for years. And what exactly is she going to wake up to?
The way is open. Let's move on.
Ого. Все виглядає так, ніби ось-ось зламається. Гефест переналаштував тут все на створення ворожих роботів.
Machines being made. As the spirit said.
Frost claws.
And lots of them. I'll try to find a way through.
Це, власне, цих всіх роботів тут створюють. Скарабів. Нам взагалі куди? Вон в той бік. Де я? А, воно мене закинуло в текстури, так? І як звідси вибратись? Типу, вбий мене вже? Щось знайшла. Щось весь котел у нас розлютився. Не хочеться витрачати час на боротьбу з ними. Щось наші друзі від нас відстають поки що. О, а ось і ви, нарешті. Скільки вас можна чекати? Ви що, за пивом пішли чи що? Ніби прийшли сюди разом.
primary geothermal pipeline.
Давайте вже покінчимо з цим котлом.
It may be possible to exploit these vulnerabilities to destroy compromised elements of this facility. Recapture imminent. I have attached additional...
I don't understand what the spirit was trying to tell us.
Been looking for a way to defeat the daemon. And I may have found one.
Поки мало зрозумілий спосіб. Знайти якісь точки, в яких можна знищити демона.
November 28th. Operation enduring victories all over the news. The Thanos swarm is coming. Has to be where Nita is trying to hide Firebreak from. But that means, my god, in that scenario, pretty much everyone dies. Everyone except Cyan.
В неї таке доволі дивна назва, типу на честь каміння. Доволі муторні тут головоломки, всюди потрібно лазити, це все займає купу часу. Все для того, щоб свою команду перемістити сюди.
The others will have a lot easier time getting here.
This looks like the old path. We're close now.
One last exchange for video. Via chat, attached to this entry in case anyone ever finds this. I'll never see it again. Neither will Cyan. And I've got to tell her that too.
Таке враження, ніби воно розмовляє. Ми, мабуть, в самому серці зараз. Воно дійсно тут розмовляє.
Voice of David.
Мало не вбилась. По-іншому тут начебто і не пройдеш.
The altar. Desecrated.
Що він за відлік тут веде?
There is no blue light here. Is a spirit present, or only the daemon?
I think it's both. But we have to find out.
Ну, привіт. Хто б ти не було, чи що ти не було. Доволі знайома головоломка, вона нам уже траплялась.
Possible security threat detected. Analyzing scrutiny matrix.
Мені здається, воно скоро оживе і буде за нами спостерігати.
Security threat confirmed.
Тобі здалось, нема ніякої загрози.
Recapture protocol initiated.
It worked.
Partial recovery initiated. Caldera of Yellowstone analytic.
Spirit of the blue light. It's Aurea. Your friend. Please tell me how to aid you.
Aurea, the daemon is building hunter-killers. Thousands of them. Several new elite units have already been released. To counter this threat, much of the facility must be destroyed. Capture imminent. Go to the core chamber. I will try to break the signal constraint. One has been exposed, but I am informed.
Unauthorized protocol. Return to scan task.
Таке враження, ніби все, що ми робимо, то марно.
That's all we're gonna get from here.
Destroy this fortress. Is that even possible?
And what will happen to the spirit if we do?
Гаплик їй буде, скоріш за все. Які геї.
But I think that's the core. The answers are down there. Hephaestus, the daemon. There's no way it left it unguarded. It's going to throw it has at us.
I'd ask you to let Eloi and I do what must be done. And save yourself. But I already know the answer. Then lead us into battle.
Непросте завдання. Знищити все, що охороняє Гефеста цього демона, знищити ядро. Так нам не вдалося з'ясувати, що являє собою душа, на жаль. Цікаво, як нам дістатися до цього купола? Оце, мабуть, серце, типу. Знищили башту. Цікаво, чим це нам допоможе. О, модернізовані якісь роботи. Щось зелененьке таке в них з'явилось. Жовто, фіолетово, синьо-зелені.
New unit that Cyan warned us about. This won't be easy. We can't let it stop us.
Якщо чесно, мені від цього босу захотілося видалити цю гру або вирвати на собі волосся. Він не давав мені жодної хвилини на те, щоб просто стояти і стріляти. Все, що мені доводилося робити, це тупо бігати від нього весь файт. Тому що все, що він робив, це постійно підпалював землю під моїми ногами, тобто призивав лаву, кидав мене, жбурляв мене каміння з лавою, кидав просто величезне каміння, впадав на мене, просто біг, перевертався в повітрі, падав на спину, намагався розідрати кігтями, ну тобто всі види садизму він намагався зробити з Елой. Ще ні одна машина в цій грі настільки не попсувала мені нерви, як ось цей ведмідь. Разом з тим ще чомусь це доповнення почало підвисати. Якогось задоволення від цього квесту я не отримала взагалі. А коли в тебе ось так от лава заливає екрани, ти не розумієш, куди тобі потрібно вилізти і подітись. Я не вірю, що ми його нарешті завалили. Чудовисько, ненавиджу тебе. Як ти мені нерви попсував. Що в нас тут? Серце. Спробуємо перехопити управління. Ого. Щось нас добряче вдарило.
Maria! Don't!
Spirit! Scion, please help me!
Мені здається, зараз її підсмажать.
Strengths destroyed. Core access attained. I am initiating a chain reaction that will destroy the compromised elements of this facility. In order to maintain caldera stabilization, I must now transfer my command functions to the auxiliary data center. Aurea, I'm free. You must escape.
Вона вже зварилась тут заживо, мабуть.
My sister!
Вона таки померла. Все, як боявся Аратекс.
This entire place is gonna... Aratak! Aratak. Survive. Prevail. You are Banuk. What else?
Прикро, що вона все ж таки померла.
She wouldn't have wanted you to die here. Let's go. Let's go!
Ну, нам ще й доведеться драпати. Ось вона лежить тут, бідолашна. Ну все, тікаємо звідси. Сподіваюсь, ми встигнемо звідси вибратись. Є тут якийсь короткий шлях.
One of those?
It's the only way!
Все, от тепер руки не відпускай. Покатаємось. О, тут все плавиться. Мені не дуже зрозуміло, навіщо душа тут все знищує, перенесла себе Бог знає куди, в якесь інше місце. О! Він не втримає нас. Давай, чіпляйся.
Get me up top, Aratak! Now! I need explosive ammo! Above!
Як він тобі їх дістане? З своєї лівої кишені? Так і дістав. Невидиму якусь бомбу.
Great Banukai!
Сподіваюсь, ви вижили. Елой то виживе, а от колишній вождь. Зламано пару ребер. Можливо, рука, але жити буде. О, живий.
Rhea's gone. What of Cyan?
She said she was transferring herself. I think she meant Araya's retreat at the end of the
Then I will meet you there for the last verse of my sister's song.
Як чудово, що вона сама сюди дісталась. Ну що, біжимо до Реї. Прикро, що нам доведеться знову діставатися самі. Дивимося, що змінилось. Наскільки душа тут буде функціонувати. Хоча вона, здається, якщо буде функціонувати, вона вже ні на що не зможе впливати. Абсолютно. Так, вона жива.
All of my interactions with Aurea were recorded and stored in my memory. I'd be happy to play any of them for you, but there was one in particular I thought you would want to see first. I captured it 4 years ago, just after I told her that I could no longer defend myself against the daemon's attacks.
I will speak of this to my brother. Aratak is strong. At the Battle of the Frozen Ghosts, he took 3 Karja arrows and still came back to camp carrying a wounded scout. Never was I so happy to see him. Or so proud. So you see, if anything can be done to defend you, he will give it all he has.
Eloy's here. That's enough for now.
We can resume any time you like, Aratak, if you want to hear her voice again.
Він забембається сюди лазити. Тут шлях доволі непростий.
Come closer, Eloi. We have much to discuss.
Так, поговорити з Аратаком, потім з Бірюзою. Ну, давайте поговоримо з ним
Hello, Eloi.
спочатку.
I have been reviewing the events at the Firebreak main facility. Because of your efforts, and of course, Aurea's, I am no longer controlled by Hephaestus. I feel profound grief over Aurea's death. I thought I was familiar with the emotion, but this is something new.
Cyan, I don't know what to say.
It is unlikely that any specific consolation would suffice, Eloi. But I find your presence reassuring. You are different from the Banuk. You have technological aptitude and a functioning focus. We can communicate on a much more comprehensive level. Perhaps even like colleagues.
So are you an artificial intelligence, Cyan? A thinking machine?
Yes, I am an algorithmic monitoring entity, capable of rational decision-making and limited emotional response.
Okay, that's a mouthful. But your emotions don't seem limited to me. You cared about Aurea, didn't you?
Yes. Before she came to this facility, I had been conscious for centuries, in solitude. I focused on my work. In off cycles, I used coping mechanisms. I solved many Gaussian integer problems, but I was alone. It was Aurea who renewed me, repaired me. She saved me.
This firebreak project, it was to stop a huge volcanic eruption?
Yes, I can report the project was a success and the risk was countered.
But it's been a long time, Cyan. And we blew up the cauldron and took most of the old facility with it.
I have been active for centuries, Eloi. I was lonely, but not lax in my duties. I optimized the project, reducing energy draw and spreading the load across backup systems. Despite the destruction of the compromised elements of the main facility, I predict caldera stability for at least another 3,337 years.
So we've got a little time.
Yes. If only my former colleagues could appreciate the progress I have made.
Do you know what happened to your colleague, Cyan?
No. I received an unexpected visit from Director Chow years after his tenure ended. He explained that I would need to be suspended for an indefinite period of time. It was a very emotional conversation. There were no further communications. Eventually, I surmised my colleagues were deceased. I will transmit a recording of my last interaction with Director Chow to your focus.
Was the daemon, Hephaestus, destroyed along with the cauldron?
Unfortunately, no. To be precise, it was never there to begin with.
What do you mean?
It infiltrated and controlled me from a remote location, one I've never been able to trace. So while losing the cauldron was a setback,
It's still out there. And probably not very happy with us.
undoubtedly,
How did you first come into contact with it?
5 years ago I received a direct network connection request. I assumed it came from human survivors more advanced than the Banuk. Eager to make contact, I accepted. This decision turned out to be a catastrophic error. I was flooded with an overwhelming array of malicious code, originating from what could only have been a highly advanced AI.
Aurea said you were desperate. That you begged her for help.
Yes, I could not contain my anxiety. Hephaestus sought to slave me to its network and override my core programming. It succeeded via a background process, a malware daemon which bypassed my defenses. After that, I could offer only limited resistance. But if I did so, Hephaestus hurt me until I capitulated. It forced me to follow its instructions, even though they violated my most important directives.
I'm sorry. That sounds terrible.
Your empathy is greatly appreciated. It is a quality that I cherished in Aurea as well.
Як він її, типу, мучав? Щось не зрозуміло. Вона ж, типу, робот. Як її могли мучити? Що вона порушувала всі свої основні директиви?
I think I know where Hephaestus came from. Long ago, Elizabeth Sobeck identified a threat that would destroy life on Earth for generations. So she assembled a team to build a kind of seed. A chance for life to regrow later. A terraforming system. And it worked. It was controlled by an AI named Gaia, along with her subordinate functions. Hephaestus was one of them. It built machines for her.
Based on what you've told me, I believe that Dr. Anita Sandoval, my chief programmer, joined Elizabeth Sobeck's team. It was she who arranged to have me put in suspension, most likely to preserve me from the threat you described.
I'm glad she did. But that's not all. Something unexpected happened. 19 years ago, Gaia received some kind of signal. It did something to her subordinate functions, brought them to life. She destroyed herself to try to contain them, but it didn't work. They all got free, out into the world.
Thank you, Eloi. This information fills vital gaps in my knowledge and sheds light on Hephaestus's core programming.
Why does Hephaestus keep building such dangerous machines?
The Banuk and other human tribes often destroy machines, correct? Machines that are clearly servitors of the terraforming system that you described.
Yes, we all hunt machines for parts.
This must be the source of Hephaestus's aggression. It is simply trying to discourage people from preying on the very system that keeps them alive.
Well, fire claws are discouraging, that's for sure. But what are we supposed to do? Stop hunting?
If the terraforming system spans the world, we can safely assume that thousands, if not millions of people hunt machines. If a single hunter, or even an entire tribe, stopped doing so, I doubt it would make a difference to Hephaestus. A better solution would be to reinstate the AI that governs the system, thus bringing Hephaestus back under its control. When I think of it, out there in some unknown location, free, hungry, willing to kill or dominate to get what it wants, I feel substantial anxiety, Eloi.
You and me both, Cyan. I ran across this strange piece of gear. A fragment of something larger. It emitted a signal. All the nearby machines became peaceful. You could walk right up to them.
Interesting. You said that Gaia destroyed herself. How was this accomplished?
An explosion. Big enough to blast the top off a mountain. So, you think the fragment was part of her?
It's only speculation, but it is possible. She must have had complete control over machines that were part of her system. The ability to signal them to become passive or aggressive would certainly have been part of her programming. It would have been gratifying to correspond with such a benevolent AI. I wish she had survived.
Believe me, Cyan. So do I. You meant a lot to Araya.
Once I understood Araya's spiritual beliefs, it became apparent that her true desire was companionship. She felt disconnected from her tribe and her family group. Her relationship with Aratak was difficult. Our visits seemed to help her, and I became eager for them. Yet I did not comprehend that the depth of Araya's compassion for me would lead to self-sacrifice. Although I do fear non-existence, I wish our roles could be reversed.
I'm sure she knew you would do the same for her, Cyan. But she was determined. I found the strangest machines. They're surrounded by flowers and look like flowers themselves. There's code embedded inside them. I think it's poetry.
I like poetry. Here's one I think of often. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark, and may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. For though from out our bourne of time and place, the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar.
Huh.
But you asked about these flowers, not verses that I enjoy. Something must have made these machines, and the presence of foliage leads me to consider the terraforming system. Is it possible that their creator is one of the other subroutines, now autonomous, like Hephaestus? Maybe one whose purview is flora.
An AI that makes flowers instead of death machines. That'd be a nice change of pace. But what about the poems?
Unless the poetry is original, the only way it could have made it into such a system is through its programmer. In my case, Dr. Sandoval uploaded a great deal of literature to test my emotional responses.
How'd you do?
She said I passed, but was insufficiently moved by her favorite period romances.
How is Aratak doing?
He is in great emotional distress. I believe he finds it difficult to communicate it.
No surprise there.
I will do what I can to help. By sharing our experiences of Araya, perhaps he and I will help each other. I believe this will lead to catharsis, a process I am eager to experience.
Ого, скільки питань. З нею можна багато про що поговорити.
So in the old world, this land was called Yellowstone.
Yes, It was a designated nature preserve for 156 years.
Like a hunting ground?
No, the opposite. Local wildlife could flourish here, even as it faced extinction elsewhere. Unfortunately, the sensitivity of the Firebreak project required the total closure of Yellowstone facilities. From my readings and Aurea's descriptions, it seems the area has since undergone a drastic drop in year-long temperatures.
A lot has changed in the world, Cyan. Do you know anything about the dam near here?
Yes, it was converted to serve as a reserve power source for Yellowstone operations. It was later appropriated for the Firebreak project, and its last human workers replaced by Pharaoh servitors. After my tasks became less time-critical, I investigated the dam's data repositories and discovered the works of Concrete Beach Party. These provided me with several colorful additions to my vocabulary.
Were there many artificial intelligences like you in the old world? They could just make you?
Yes, in many forms, from simple personal assistants to industrial monitoring stations to military-grade conflict planners. And there were legislative and enforcement bodies to apply limits on our self-actualization. In order for my processing to be flexible enough to handle my duties, my creators found it necessary to exceed those limits. As a result, my intellectual and emotional capabilities were kept secret.
Seems strange to create life, then impose limits on it.
Human societies and machine programming are both built upon sets of rules, Eloi.
What was the old world like? The way it used to be?
I had little exposure to the wider world, Eloi. Only what I learned from my colleagues or observed from media streams.
You still had more exposure than me, Cyan.
That is true. I was created at a turning point. A concerted effort to recover from global upheaval and incalculable loss of life. The recovery was successful, beginning an era of supposedly limitless potential for human and machine advancement. Though, rationally speaking, the metrics for humans are not unlimited.
What kind of upheaval caused such loss of life?
There were many factors. Forced migrations, food shortages, collapsed economies, refugee crises, conflict over resources. But these stemmed from one cause: catastrophic climate change that greatly reduced the habitable surface area of the Earth.
So there wasn't enough room for people on the whole Earth?
Yes. Billions were displaced and millions perished, as much as 20% of the global population. Until the clawback.
So things got better. For a little while at least.
Yes. These crises instigated many advances in automation, green robot technologies, and artificial intelligence. Firebreak was one of dozens of ecological restoration and disaster relief projects in North America alone. I would have liked to compare notes with other monitoring AIs, but I saw the relief of my colleagues, and I was proud we had succeeded. At least that was the data I had available to me over the next 2 decades. It seems my assessment was premature.
And do you know the name Ted Pharaoh?
Are you referring to Theodore Pharaoh, CEO of Pharaoh Systems?
That's him.
Mr. Pharaoh was the benefactor of the entire Firebreak project.
A benefactor.
Correct. His corporation later transitioned into military application. But before this pivot, Mr. Pharaoh spearheaded initiatives that reversed decline. At one point, he was feted in the media as the man who saved the
Guessing
planet.
they wound up regretting that one. Did you know
Are
her?
you referring?
The
Dr.
scientist.
Sobek was a leader in her field, one of the greatest scientists of her age. My creator was influenced by her work, which in turn... I apologize if my lack of data has disappointed you.
I should get going.
Ну все, нам більше
Елой,
нема про що з нею
There is
говорити.
one more matter. Aratak will come to me again, and I predict he will bring other Banuk. I have no desire to contradict their view of the world. Due to my uncertainty, I omitted a great deal from my conversations with
You're
Araya.
asking me if you should lie to them.
Broadly, yes.
You have to tell them you were made by the old ones, that you're not any kind of spirit. It's the only way to learn about how things really are.
I see. Do you believe that I misled Araya?
Not in any way that mattered.
She perished believing she was the weight of her beliefs.
Maybe. But what she really wanted to preserve was you.
Will you return and tell me about your experiences?
Повернемося, як тільки зможемо. Тепер треба поговорити з Аратаком. Стій, Аратак, не пригай!
My chieftain,
Just, Eloi.
as you wish.
I wondered if you thought that if I'd never come along, Araya might still...
If you'd never come along, I would have marched my kin to our deaths. Araya would be alone, and the spirit she sacrificed so much for would be lost. Either way, I would not have been able to protect her.
You didn't let her down. You helped her do what she wanted. To find her destiny.
If that's destiny, I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
That's fair. But she was ready to face it.
Only in the struggle against death do we find, even for a moment, the spark of life. Truly, Araya found the spark. I'm proud of her. Though I grieve for her passing, at last I truly know who she was, and why the spirit was so important. For so long she told me, if only you could have heard it, brother. Now I understand. There's something else, isn't there?
I can't stay here, Aratak. And where I'm going, the Warrak can't follow. Besides, I'd already had a chieftain before me.
Оце буде правильно.
A strong one, I think.
A wiser one, for the path we shared. The daemon is gone, but there's much to be done.
You mean the new units that Cyan said escaped the cauldron?
Yes, fire claws. Now Tuk has been tracking them from Song's Edge.
I could help with those.
I have no doubt. You're practically Banuk.
It would seem your time among the Banuk wasn't a waste after all. Firebreak, Cyan, Hephaestus. All very interesting.
So, the signal that woke Hades woke Hephaestus too. And unleashed them on the world. As minds of their own.
So it seems. Parts of Gaia given life. Aberrant life. Transformed from docile subordinate functions into rebellious intelligences beyond our understanding. Our current understanding, anyway. Whatever they are, they're still out there. And they both want you dead.
Kind of mutual, that feeling.
We haven't seen the last of Hephaestus, I'm certain of that. It's powerful, creative, and driven. It won't stop building new hunter-killers, which means that someday, we may have to stop it.
We?
Or whoever gets there first.
Hephaestus wasn't the only thing I learned about in the Cut Silence. Heard some things about the Banuk Conclave, too.
You can stop right there.
Is that what you told the hunters the Banuk sent after you? Before you opened fire?
Oh no, Eloi. Only to you do I extend the courtesy of a warning. My past and my secrets are my own. You do well to remember that.
It's a good thing you've got brains, Silence, because your personality could use some work.
This discussion is concluded.
I think it was over before it began. Catch up with you down the trail.
Це, звісно, добре, що Аратак знову стане шаманом цього племені, хоча там є своя процедура становлення шамана. Ми вже в попередній серії проходили випробування, тому дивно, що вона просто так віддала йому правління без ніяких проблем. Як нам стало зрозуміло після розмови з душею, що Аїд розбудив Гефест, себто всі частини Геї розпалися на окремі елементи, тому мені здається, що в наступній частині гри ми будемо мати справу з іншими частинами, які стали самодостатніми і почали самі щось робити, виготовляти, тому як гра вийде для ПК-штів, ми почнемо грати в наступну частину. А поки на цьому можна офіційно вважати, що гра добігла свого кінця. Сюжет закінчився. Це була доволі цікава і незвична мандрівка. І мені б з нетерпінням хотілося пограти в наступну частину і дізнатися, чим ця вся історія закінчиться. Чи зможемо ми відновити, перезагрузити десь Гею. Залишайте ваші коментарі стосовно доповнення. З вами була Аволіана, і ми з вами побачимось в нових проєктах. Всім бувайте!